Welcome to the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. Discover with us and enjoy our holistic resources. Join us weekly on Wednesdays for our live talk show discussing the topics central to maintaining the holistic lifestyle you want. Each week we bring on leaders, product providers, and educators to enlighten and empower your natural journey in wellness. Let us begin. Welcome to another fabulous Wellness Wednesday broadcasted to you live on Innerlight Radio, known as the Healing Frequency. This is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We are here each and every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. That's 11 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Our Facebook page is Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. Once again, Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. And our website is createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, createyourholisticlifestyle.com. You'll see pictures of our co-hosts there. We have a nice past show section. If you'd like to have some products that might help you out in your life and your healthy journey, we have some things there called the Lifestyle Store you can check out. All right, Dr. Rabb, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a good program earlier this morning and shared a lot of things that I needed to share, and hopefully there was people listening that were able to take in some of that. It's a lot of things going on right now, and I also let them know that Robert Kennedy Jr.'s book is out. I have the book. In fact, James bought 2 books. He got one for me. The writing is real small, so it's going to be a while before I can really read it. But at least I have one.
Yes. Well, there's something else they just released about, I think they said that 2 men that were accused of killing Malcolm X, they found innocent. So I think that they were getting ready to deal with them and let them go after all these years have gone by, which is kind of interesting. What I would like to say to everyone out there is, listen, if you're out and you're going out to eat and you're going to different clubs or resorts, just be careful and see if someone's following you or not. There's a lot of follow-home robberies going on right now. They follow someone from downtown Los Angeles all the way to Upland. That's about 60 miles. Then rob them and tase them. So I want you all to be safe out there. If you feel someone's following you, just go straight to the police station. Don't want you to be in fear out there. If you have a lot of things that are worldly, I would not wear them. I would drive your lesser cars, because I think that what's happening with the haves and have-nots, we've got a lot of problems that are coming up. And we don't want to see people out there getting hurt just because they're trying to live a decent life that they worked hard for. So just want to go through and say that. I think Jamal's going to have to bring back on our guest. I think you just saw that he has left. But Dr. Val, how you doing?
I am doing very well. He's just calling in from his phone.
Oh, okay.
So he's going to come right back on. But I am doing amazing and really looking forward to today's guest, because his nickname is the Wizard. And I know. And he kind of is a wizard in the fact that he has gotten me. So I have to admit that I've spent
Hello.
Yes.
That without. Did I
lost you for a minute? Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh wow. I was saying I've perfected my career by basically figuring out ways to get down to 14% body fat without having to be in the gym more than twice a week. And I always thought, like, I'm not a runner. And so at his behest, there was a patient that we shared, that he's saying, okay, now we're going to run a half marathon to support this guy and his recovery in May. And so I'm like, I'm not a runner. And at the beginning of the summer, I did not think I could run even 5K without, stopping. I'm like, oh man. And I just ran 21 kilometers, last week, which is like the half marathon distance. So he is a wizard, and, can't wait to chat about him. And it's pretty exciting.
Oh, that sounds great. I learn something special about you every week.
Well,
you're the verbal gift that keeps giving. I love it.
I love that. There's a new nickname. But
Dr. Val in the house. I love it.
Well, so many people think, once you reach quote unquote a certain age, like you have to stop doing things, or you're supposed to be, I don't know, old and stop activities and be, gain weight and sit and eat bonbons, or I don't know, be decrepit. And I have to say, in 50s are the power decade for me, and I'm feeling better now. I'm in better shape now than I was in my 20s and 30s, and that's how it should be.
Well, I know you're a hell of a lot more confident.
That's for sure.
Doc brings the truth. I love it.
The truth will set you free.
Yeah, it might make you miserable first, but it'll definitely set you free.
That's the good thing about time comes confidence,
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing about it. I remember I was playing tennis over time, and, it's naturally you get more confident. You tell that ball where to go, and you hit it. It goes over the net. So, time can definitely – some people see it as an enemy. I see it, it's definitely a friend. I'm
like a bottle of wine, I think. I'm just getting better and better.
Yeah.
Either that or I'm turning into vinegar.
There's this movie that Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor did, and I think it's one of those Gothic style ones. I can't remember the name of it, but he said women are like that of fine wine. To empty a bottle is to invite a headache. And I never forgot that. Oh man!
Wow.
So I like to watch all those old Greek movies, especially when they would play in it. But all right, let's get to our commercial breaks when we come back with our featured guest. This is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We have our hosts, Dr. Val and Dr. Rabb, on with us. We'll be right back.
Meet me in the marvelous St. Martin for an evolution into self-love and soulful living. Hi, I'm Bernadette Davies, founder of Agape Holistic Retreat in St. Martin and around the globe. We're an all-inclusive retreat in St. Martin and private retreats and around the globe. It's magical. www.agapeholisticretreatsxm.com. Attunement, enhancement, alignment. www.agapeholisticretreatsxm.com. Meet you in St. Martin.
My name is Michelle. I am the beauty boss of A More Beautiful You with Jafra Cosmetics. What is so wonderful about Jafra is that it is an essential business and fits into everyday needs for everyone in your family. Jafra offers over 500 products within 4 departments, and they are, department number 1 is our skincare department with our 5 exclusive Royal Jelly skincare lines powered by our Royal Jelly RJX technology. Number 2 is our on-trend gorgeous color and makeup line, a must-see. Number 3 is our fragrance from the world's top perfumers. And department number 4 is our body care for the entire family. Just added is our daily advanced hand sanitizers in 2 sizes. I invite you to visit my website to see more of A More Beautiful You with Jafra. My website is www.amorebeautiful-u.com. That is www.amorebeautiful-u.com. Thank you and stay safe and well.
Welcome to the hemp industry, including new product CBD-based discoveries is here. It is a smart, organic personal care option today. Industrial hemp is one of the fastest growing segments of the wellness industry and is quickly emerging as a lucrative business opportunity for many. This emerging industry strives to create products that are designed to revolutionize the way people care for themselves. These products are well formulated to produce the finest quality of dietary supplements on the market, derived from industrial hemp containing proprietary CBD compounds that help support the body's endocannabinoid system. For more information regarding hemp, nano water soluble CBD, CBD pet care, CBD choices for your complete body, and receive your home delivery, visit the Lifestyle Store at www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, the Lifestyle Store. It's at www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Health is the new wealth.
Yeah, And we're back. Health is the new wealth. This is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. All right, Dr. Val, I want to introduce our amazing guest today, please.
Absolutely. I would love to. It's such an honor to interview David Thunder, who is the Thunder who is not from down under, just so you know. He's actually from the UK. He is a therapist, a movement coach, and an international speaker. And started his journey with at the age of 13 when he was studying with an osteopath and an acupuncturist, and then went on, of course, to become an osteopath himself. So he basically has been sought out. He is a thought leader in his industry, and he is one of the best in terms of healthcare, in terms of movement, neurology, and biomechanics. So he basically practices now as a manipulative therapist, an acupuncturist, a running and movement coach. See, this is where this is coming in, an NLP practitioner. So hence the term the wizard. David, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Val. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be invited.
It's going to be a great one. So that term you used when you introduced him, you have to tell the people what that means.
Absolutely. And, I think I'd love to have David, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, how you got started, and then tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Sure. So when I was 13, you had to do a week of work experience as part of the national curriculum. And the work experience that was picked out for me, my dad didn't think was going to serve me. So he sent me to see someone I would describe as a wizard, who was like in his late 60s at the time and a practicing osteopath and acupuncturist. He'd also had a previous career in law. So he was an interesting mix of many different things. And his client base ranged from members of the royal family to the England football team or soccer team, to the homeless and like everything in between. His day would start at 5 a.m. and he'd finish about 9 o'clock at night, and he would work relentlessly without a break. And people would literally queue to see him because he was, he was like a little legend where he was. And after a week of working with him, he took me under his wing and offered me a job. So from the age of 13, every weekend and every holiday, I would work 5 days a week with him. And literally from, I think it was day 2 or day 3, I was fully hands-on with clients. So by the age of 19, going to university to study to be an osteopath, we'd worked it out that I already had hands-on treatment with about 20,000 clients. So I'd had a huge sort of basis of just immersing myself in this work. And then I went on to study osteopathy and worked in a practice and just carried on learning. Just like the story never stopped for me. But one of the things that became apparent for me it was kind of like a splinter in my mind, to use the phrase from Neo in The Matrix, was that I would help people out of pain and they would feel better and they'd be very grateful. But then they would often return later on with the same presentation. So like a week or a month or 3 months or 6 months down the line. And it led me to questioning, like, what am I missing? Why isn't the body able to self-regulate for itself? Why does someone have a dependence on seeing me? Because people would travel from all over or fly me around the world because they needed the fix that I could give them. And I think it was the metaphor of like, teach someone to fish rather than fish for them. So I kind of tried to look for ways to break that clinical dependence on me, to empower people with the tools and the mindset and the knowledge to not only get out of pain, but then to work in towards optimization. You were talking before the commercial break about, as you get older, the common conception is that our physical function deteriorates and we stop doing things like running. People generally don't take up running in their 50s. But from my yeah,
well, it all depends.
Yeah,
what you running from.
But when the body is actually just put into the right environment where it can actually self-regulate, it has this amazing capacity. There are habits and tools and skills that you can teach someone so they understand it for themselves, and they can just have these incredible sustainable bodies. My Twitter hashtag, not that I've actually been on Twitter, but I believe I own this hashtag, which is ninja in your 90s. Because I just like what I would really love for myself is I've got I do apologize in advance. I've got 3 daughters under 5, and they're screaming for daddy right now because it's right in the middle of our bedtime. So I've taken this call and abandoned bedtime. But like, I can't wait to have like grandchildren or great grandchildren, and they come around to see me, and I'm hid in a cupboard somewhere, and I jump out like Kato from the Pink Panther, and we have some epic ninja battle. I just yeah.
Awesome.
You're on your way to be a TikTok star with those kind of ideas, buddy.
Yeah, well, you and I are on the same page that way, and I think when we first got connected, our philosophy is the exact same. And I say, like, I want to be able to be windsurfing in my 90s. Like, why not? Why do we slow down? I do it through, nutrition and naturopathic medicine, but, you do it through a wide variety of treatments and your knowledge and expertise from a variety of spaces, including osteopathy, which for our listeners, I would love if you explained what osteopathy is.
So just to clarify, because this landed me in sticky water one time when I'd actually left the profession and an article appeared saying I was an osteopath. So I no longer call myself an osteopath, but
movement ninja.
That will cause a little pain and excitement, huh, Doc?
What I would say about the osteopathic profession, the founder of osteopathy was someone called Dr. Andrews Taylor Still, he was an interesting character. He lost some children during the Civil War in America, and he lost them because of some of the failings of Western medicine at that time. So he came up with what at the time was a completely alternate system, where he believed that the body had this innate intrinsic self-regulating ability, and if it was put in the right environment, it could heal itself. So one of the things he talked about was sort of lymphatic and venous flow, and how if you get the body to eliminate and detoxify, then you can get nutrition in, nerve supply in, and the body can actually do what it's designed to do. So he had some very interesting techniques to kind of clear the body's detoxification system and get everything kind of working beautifully. So he was quite a revolutionary of his time, and he had some amazing results. But sadly, they went head to head with the medical profession, and I think it was about the 1940s. And yeah, they got taken to the cleaners because they were professing to be a completely alternate system of medicine, which for some things that they can be, but Western medicine certainly has some uses, and some things it does incredibly well. So they actually kind of made an enemy of the state in America, but it still very much thrives in the UK and in Europe. So osteopathy kind of, I would say, is more prevalent than, say, chiropractic is, which is certainly more prevalent in the United States. So you would get a very similar experience if you walked into an osteopath's office to a chiropractor in the States. But the idea of an osteopath is it would try and look as holistically as possible and look at as many causations as possible as to why the body can't restore itself. So rather than chasing, say if you went in with back pain, rather than just looking at the back, you would hope that they would step back and have that kind of 30,000 foot view and say, okay, we've had this chronic back pain that isn't getting better. Why can't the body repair itself? So there's what's going on locally in the lower back, but there's contributing factors, there's predisposing and maintaining factors. And the real game of a good therapist, I believe, is to play that detective game where you try and put all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together and go, okay, this bit is not able to regulate itself here, but actually, if we go back several steps, it's really this piece here, which is on the surface of it looks like it's nothing to do with it, but there's been a chain of events which has led us to this chronic lower back pain, as an example.
Right.
So yeah, that's really the game I like to play. And that's honestly what I've got very good at, is playing detective. that really is the game for me. It's like, really, why is this person in front of me, and how can I go back through their history, through their timeline, and really work out what their body needs to kind of kickstart that repair system that we all have.
Very rewarding, for a person, because you'd have to really look at everything: food, exercise, posture, I mean, I can't even imagine the list of the things you have to check off and evaluate. It's amazing.
Yeah, which is why I've never sort of like limited myself to a system. Like I would call myself a systems thinker, where I will like study osteopathy, and I go, great, these are all the things it does well. Where are the gaps? And then I'll look at a different system like Chinese medicine and go, oh, great, this is great. This is what they do well. What about over here, where there's like a fuzzy line where it's not clear? So what system would bolt onto that? And I would say through that process, the biggest kind of paradigm shift, I guess, in my thinking was realizing that, particularly when it came to the body and movement and the control of that everything is really controlled by the central nervous system. So unless, like as a therapist, if you're doing manual therapy on, say, back pain, unless the brain has actually learned something to change the habit, you're going to end up with the same pattern coming back time and time again. So really my work has focused a lot on kind of neurology and the laws of neuroplasticity and going down that kind of route. So trying to change the brain through a number of different routes, through kind of language, through movement, through evidence of safety, and the like. So yeah, I could talk over.
Can you share about your 3D approach?
Sure. So the 3D approach, I guess, I use is really it's really just kind of what I'm describing in terms of you would have someone say, let's go with, I don't know, the back pain example again. So someone has back pain. I would look at their history, everything that's gone on in their timeline, and then I would put them through a full movement analysis. I'd get them moving. I'd get them doing various things. So you actually see how their nervous system defaults when they're working gravitationally. So a lot of therapists will put you straight onto a treatment table. So you're feeling what the body is doing, kind of laying down, but not with the laws of gravity. So the three-dimensional approach is like you can learn a lot by just watching someone walk. You can break down all the different phases of movement, and you can really just from that make some quite amazing correlations about why say back pain or why parts of their body can't regulate itself. I think a nice example would be I worked with someone who was on the fringe of the Olympic running team at 5,000 meters. And for what was holding his career back was he was getting pain in his left inner thigh. And they'd treated the muscle, they'd strengthened it, they'd done various bits of work, and they couldn't really get it to repair itself. So eventually he found his way to me. And when I looked, I was the first person that really stepped back and first of all looked at his big toenail on the left side. And what we could see was that there was slightly irregular growth. And it turned out that when he was 4 years old, he'd had an ingrown toenail and they'd botched the surgery to repair it. On his right chest, on the opposite side, he had a scar just over the front of his shoulder where he was 6 years old and he had fallen on like a garden spike and it had sort of torn parts of the muscle. And what was interesting, and you only saw this, not when he was walking, but actually when he was running at speed, that as he started to fatigue, the nervous system would go into a protective pattern of that left big toe, and it would start to lift up the big toe because it didn't believe it was fully safe, even though that was still from a childhood piece. There was still a memory in the nervous system. Also, his opposite shoulder would curl itself into a protective pattern to protect the scar tissue, because his brain hadn't had full evidence of safety. So that change in his neuroplasticity, in like his brain's setting, was still operating a default pattern, and that was what was shifting his pelvis to his left and then causing this tension in the left inner thigh, which was then eventually causing him pain and affecting his running. So that's an example of that sort of three-dimensional approach where you're kind of looking beyond the site of the pain. You're not chasing the symptoms. You're trying to look as three-dimensionally as possible.
And I have to admit, like, having seen you work and having the honor and privilege of sharing some patients with you, having watched you go through that diagnosis, even very quickly on that one person, It was incredible because this guy was like, okay, I think he had shoulder pain at that moment. He was like, I have some shoulder pain, and you watched him walk, and you're like, okay, this is off, this is off, this is off, this happened then, what happened when you were this age? And he was just like, whoa, I've never noticed that before. And he, sure enough, he was like, yes, this happened. I think he's, it was just miraculous what you actually saw in the body. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, so a good example of that, thank you for that, because I was literally put on the spot with literally no history of just like, I've got a painful shoulder. What can you tell me? So like with no history, we're able to kind of just pick out what his nervous system was reflecting to me. So a good example is when I met my now, well, we're not actually married, but we have 3 children when we are engaged. But when we first met, she had migraines that hadn't been able to be treated. She'd had migraines pretty much every single day of her life from about the age of 13. So it was attributed to that hormonal shift of puberty. But they really couldn't figure out why her migraines wouldn't stop. And literally just from a gait analysis, I could see that there was a compensation on her right foot. And by the pattern that she was protecting, I could see how old she was at the time of the injury, because it was like her movement pattern was frozen in time. So we could see she was about 7 or 8 years old because that movement was reflected from that time. And that was causing a compensation through her right kinetic chain all the way through that right leg and then to her opposite shoulder because movement's cross-lateral. And the compensation was coming out through her left jaw, her left TMJ. And there's a little muscle inside the jaw called the lateral pterygoid. And when that guy gets overactive because it's trying to balance the top of the neck and the jaw, that can cause migraines. And I remember the look that she gave me when I told her that it was all to do with her ankle. She looked at me like I was an idiot. She'd suffered for so long, and I told her that it was all down to her ankle, and it was withering, the look she gave me. But I gave her a protocol, and like she did it for 2 weeks, and she hasn't had a migraine since. So yeah, some years later, she felt compelled to, because it then catalyzed a lot of change. Once she wasn't out of pain, a lot more became available for her in her life. So her world started to open out. Pain shrinks your world. It really does. And it's something that I see people really struggling with a lot, is that chronic pain, and trying to help them get out of that so they can be more present and fuller in their life, so they can kind of reach peak performance in their business, with their families, or run in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever it is. It's helping people find all those missing pieces and giving them the tools of how they can create this magic for themselves.
Well, and I think that human optimization is I know a lot of my patients' minds. They want to perform at their best. They want to be able to work hard, play hard. They want to be able to, have that focus, that concentration. But nobody wants to, quote unquote, age prematurely, right? And so I'd love to hear a little bit about that human optimization piece from you, and how you support your patients in that, because I think so many people are wondering, like, okay, how do I make sure that I can run in my run a half marathon in my 70s or 80s?
Yeah, that's it. That's a good point. So the nervous system has a kind of use it or lose it function, and I would say that one of the things that people don't realize, it's a bit like when people put on weight. People often that are overweight genuinely don't realize how much they've let their weight slide, because it's been incremental. It hasn't just happened from one chocolate bar. It's been bit by bit by bit. And I would say the same happens with sort of optimal movement and optimal health, is that there's a gradual slide of deterioration. People don't realize the little deaths that they're dying bit by bit by bit, because it's like the frog in water. You don't feel it. So one of the things I love to do is to get people doing some movement assessments and film them. So you have the perception, the reality of what you are doing versus your perception. I think that's a huge piece, first of all, is like give someone the actual genuine feedback. And video movement or video analysis doesn't lie. you're doing something correctly or you're not. And people often in their mind still believe they are the athlete that they were in their teens or their 20s, even though they're in their 30s or 40s or 50s.
Yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah, I've had people come in and tell me, well, I because I can run this time and I can do that and I can lift this, and go, oh, that's great. When was that? Oh, yeah, 20 years ago. I was like, well, that's 2 decades ago. So just like that kind of like that reality audit. Where are you right now? What is the kind of like the reality of where you are? And then this is why I work with an incredible performance psychologist, a mindset coach who's amazing, who you also know, who you're also working with, Dr. Val. And it's really kind of dialing into the identity of the person that you want to be, so you can see it for yourself. And then once you have that clarity of where you want to be, you can create strategies to wake up the nervous system. Because the nervous system, like if you're not using something, it does a number of things. It starts to slow down that area. So it turns down the speed, it turns down the power, it turns down the fine control, it turns down the variability, like movement patterns as an example. A lot of people have the same movement patterns every day. So they stop, say, for example, consistently moving their arms above their head, or they move in the same repeated patterns over and over again. So the nervous system says, well, you're not using movement over here, so we're going to just start to shorten that range for you because you don't need it. And eventually you lose more and more control, motor control, and fine skills. And you go to turn one day and you suddenly can't balance. And now you're walking with a walking stick, which is why we draw elderly with walking sticks sort of hunched forward. So for me, it's about, first of all, having that vision of the person you want to be, how you want to age, and then understanding what I would call your non-negotiables are. Like, what are your daily habits that are going to incrementally move you forward every single day? And that doesn't have to be hard. And in fact, it shouldn't be hard. I would say one of the biggest mistakes people make, and it's coming up to that time where on New Year's Eve, people will say, this is the day where I become better. So they make their New Year's Eve resolutions, and you see people like in a wave of enthusiasm joining the gym. And by March, the gyms are empty again because they haven't changed that internal discipline, and they've also haven't done that audit of where they are. So they are often starting and training at a higher intensity than their bodies can actually repair from. So,
I can see you being so good that they're dependent upon you. I don't think someone working with you would probably ever leave you.
So I don't mind if people don't leave me, as long as they are moving forward, doing their own. Growing. They're moving forward, and they're taking their own responsibility for their actions. If someone says to me, "Do you know what? I just ran a 3-hour 20. This is a real example. A 3-hour 20 marathon. I want to go under 3 hours. How do I do that?" Now that's a question. It's like, great, I can help you do that. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. So no problem with that at all. But if someone comes in and says like, oh, I've got back pain and I want you to do that magic thing, I want you to stick your needles in, I want you to crack my back and do this thing, and then great, I'm going to do nothing different, and I'm going to come back in about 2 weeks' time, and you can do the same thing for me. I can tell you now, I'm out.
I think one of the big things people would learn from you, just listening to you, is how not to procrastinate. I think they can learn that from you.
Well, and let's actually give a shout out to your psychologist that you work with, your coach, who is your mindset coach, who is amazing. I call her Wonder Woman, aka Gal Gadot. Let's give a shout out to her. She's awesome.
She works for a company, and the CEO of the company just described her as more ferocious than a Mexican drugs cartel.
But she's nicer. I love her.
Well, the only thing left after that is suicide bombing.
Yeah, she's amazing with mindset. But like, if you were to go there and play the victim, she's not going to put her arm around you and coddle you.
No, but that's good because there's too much of that already.
Yeah.
She's definitely Gal Gadot. She kicks butt.
She really does. She really does. So yeah, just training that mindset to get into consistent action. I think that's the biggest thing. Just doing the right thing, and also really understanding how to pace strain with recovery, I think, is one of the key things that people don't really understand. So understanding, like, if you're highly stressed, like there's a lot going on in your job, and maybe you've got 3 children under 5 and you're not sleeping that much. These are all units that affect your repair. They affect your heart rate variance. They affect your body's ability to recover itself. So you have to have a way of assessing where your body is at, what are the reserves, what's the capacity in your body, and being able to listen to that for yourself, not having an aura ring or a whip that tells you what you are. That's useful data, but being able to check in with your body and then saying, right, I'm going to train today, I'm going to do this thing which is going to move me forward, but I'm going to adjust the intensity down today because my body's signaling that it's very tired. So I'm going to do something that will give me energy and move me forward rather than take away. So if I'm always redlining it in the gym because I'm following a routine and this is the progression of how we get stronger and I must go more and more and harder each time, that's the recipe for burnout.
Right.
So really that ability to read your autonomic nervous system and understand that piece is key. Like, are you in a constant state of fight or flight? One of the big mindset shifts we get for people is to develop the same level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not respect, but importance. The same level of importance to value how you rest and repair and recover yourself, and put that in as your priority. So one of my non-negotiables when I build out my week, if I've got a super busy week, I'll make sure, okay, great, where am I doing my repair pieces? Where's my training in that? Where's the support that I need first? And I build that in before anything else goes into my diary. So I have the bits. It's like putting your oxygen mask on before you help others. So I am sustainable during those times. And often what you see is people, when the pressure's really on, they give up on those things. They reach for the sugar. They go slip into the bad habits. Under intensity, people default back to old things. And that's when you really need to have that mental resilience dialed in, your mindset dialed in, and your non-negotiables dialed in. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And what I see all the time with my patients as well is that the mindset and the perception is not separate from the physical body. And it's finding out where those sweet spots are and saying how much of what I'm gravitating towards when I'm under stress, how much is physiology and how much is actually mindset. And that's why I always say I don't believe in discipline. People think, oh, I'm grabbing this chocolate bar because I'm weak-willed or I don't have discipline. No, you're grabbing it because of either your biology, you haven't set your structure up right, you haven't gotten enough sleep, you haven't been eating properly or fueling your day with good protein, you haven't gotten the right amount of stress release in, you haven't gotten your movement in, or, there's that emotional piece. It's stress eating. You're grabbing something on the go.
It's information. It's all just yeah.
All right, so listen, let's take our break here. If you're just tuning in, this is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We are live. If you'd like to call in with any questions, 310-928-7733. Once again, 310-928-7733. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Dr. Nathan Rabb Jr., host of The Natural Way, which you can hear live on InnerlightRadio.com every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On The Natural Way, you will learn about alternative strategies to common medical practices to overcome some of the most common physical and mental maladies in the world today. The program is a live call-in show, so you can engage me by calling 310-928-7733 with your health-related questions. For private consultations, please call my office. That's at 310-419-4372. You can also reach me on the web at Dr. Dr. Nathan, Nathan, Rabb, Rabb.com. Be sure to tune in to The Natural Way every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, live on InnerlightRadio.com.
the healing frequency. I'm Dr. Nathan Rabb. We see you on the air. Peace.
Hey there, Detox Jenny here. Is your digestion poor, painful, or just plain stuck? If so, please consider doing a short 3 to 10 day juice cleanse with my company, Earthly Juices. You can visit us at bringmejuice.com. You will be surprised what a difference a short cleanse can make within your body and your overall well-being. Our organic farm-to-table juice cleanses are handcrafted to exclude your allergies and geared towards solving your health issues. Call 310-404-6804 and mention this show and receive a free quart of juice with your first order. You can also find us at www.bringmejuice.com. Or you could write us your detox questions at earthlyjuices@gmail.com. We can't wait to bring that juice to your doorstep.
I tell myself again and again, I'm happy about my favorite juice from gin. I tell myself again and again, well, Earthly Juices, they make the best juice cleanse.
Historically, our ancestors lived 100% organic and natural, simply grazing off the green earth with fresh fruits and vegetables and blue oceans filled with seafood. Allowing your mind, body, and soul to be naturally healthy is how we were meant to live during this journey of our lives. We invite you to visit The Lifestyle Store. Once again, The Lifestyle Store for all of your family's health and wellness needs. Simply click on The Lifestyle Store at www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Keep this in mind. Health is the new wealth.
All right, we are back. This is a Create Your Holistic Lifestyle show. All right. Did I do anything different this week? It's curious. For some reason, I thought I took too many commercial breaks. What am I thinking? All right, David. Question: How does someone work with you? They contact you. Do you have them fill out a sheet? How do they work with you? And do you work with families and children? So just the different array so that everyone can understand.
Yeah. So if someone wants to work with me, they would go to, I think it's dthunder.com is my website, and yeah, just shoot us over an email and I go through like a full history with people before I even think about working with them. I have like zero filter. My mother's actually Jamaican. So basically what it means, we don't beat around the bush. So if I can't help someone, I'll go like, I'm not the person to help you, but I know someone who is. And this is, if it was me, this is what I would do. If I think it's a fit for someone, then I'll go, yeah, sure, this is what we do. But I will understand a lot about them before we would even think about how we would work together. So I consider all cases. And I also, like, I'm connected to some incredible humans, Dr. Val included, where I can refer people if I need to. As for families, I love working. I mean, I have 3 girls. I love children.
Family has to be in everything. Now, if you're going to do something that's going to heal one member, you want everyone to be healed.
Always. Yep.
I have a beautiful client I work with he's also become a friend, and he has 6 children, and he asked if I could assess his children, and literally they all have the same movement pattern. So the father has a problem with his left hip, and the children don't have problems with the left hip, but they all limp on the left side, and they all struggle to turn that direction. And it's so literally just through mirror neurons, just through learning through their environment, they have the same family pattern. So absolutely, we're working with the parents. Like often when you work with children, you have to work with the parents also because they're modeling what they see. But if you get the families working together, it's an amazing skill set to have. Like we are definitely a house of movement monkeys. So we, like my daughters have all been on the rings from the age of 9 months old, the gymnastic rings, and they've all. Yeah, I'm giving my, she's just turned 5 actually, I'm giving my 5-year-old lessons on how to stick acupuncture needles into fruit at the moment. So she's perfecting her needle technique so she can start to learn how to treat daddy when he needs it. So yeah, I think there are some basic skill sets that I think people should be equipped with that Not necessarily 5-year-olds sticking acupuncture needles in. I'm not endorsing that in any way.
There's a lawsuit waiting to happen right there.
but just bringing that self-care and routine into the family, and understanding like what you can do to improve your movement. Also, how to coach each other, how to understand where your partner's blind spots are. So like my partner's amazing at saying, David, you need to go and do this because I can see this is happening again with your left side or whatever it is. Just, I love working with families because you get a much higher enrollment of the work that they have to do if the family is involved, particularly because it involves change and it involves sort of belief change and all that kind of stuff. And there's an upgrade. So I think if families want to work, I think it's really nice to all jump together, to be honest.
One of the things that I would love to share with people and have you share with people is the work we did with that one patient who needed knee surgery on both of his knees. Because I can't even tell you how much working with you together, how fast his recovery was, and the results that he got were just mind-blowing. They were miraculous. And I want to let people know the miracle that's possible and what their bodies are capable of and what healing is possible when you have the right team and you have the knowledge in front of you and around you.
Absolutely. This is a great story. So this particular client is someone who's in his mid to late 50s, I believe, and who I think I've done a lot of work with him prior to the injury that he had, where he identified as an athlete. He was training for a bodybuilding competition. He was in very good physical shape. And unfortunately, whilst on holiday, he jumped onto a trampoline and something went wrong with his knees. And I got a phone call from a friend saying, what is this? And both his kneecaps were halfway up his thighs. So he had,
wow.
Yeah. I was like, and I said, I'm really good, but I'm not that good over FaceTime call. That needs to be reattached. He's ruptured both his patella tendons. So yeah, that needs to be sewn back on. So he got rushed into surgery, and yeah, he was told to stay in a cast. I think it was for 3 months. Before even thinking about starting physical therapy. And the physical therapy he was down to start was basically to teach him how to transition from his bed while his legs were in a cast to using a commode himself. That was like the first sessions of his rehab of how they were meant to be before they'd even thought about taking the cast off and training the muscles. And to cut a long story short, when he went in for his 3-month appointment to see the surgeon to start rehab, he walked in and was able to do a full squat and was on the verge of starting to train how to run, which is why we're all running this half marathon together, because we ignored the advice. We had the cast taken off straight away and we got to work. We got his detoxification system working well. We got his nervous system to put attention into the area. We started to get movement and oxygen and blood supply to the areas to repair themselves. We started to give evidence to his nervous system that it was safe, that it could start to go into repair. And we used a variety of different ways of stimulating his system. And it was a real combination approach, a real kind of team effort. But we're probably 2 years, I would say, ahead of schedule for where his recovery should be. So yeah, it's quite an extraordinary response that people aren't meant to return to full function. This is very common in basketball, and it's often considered like a career-ending type injury. But we're on a trajectory where he should have full function, and like the way we're training.
Surgeon, I was going to say his orthopedic surgeon was blown away and actually said, "Hey, not only will you get full function back, but you could actually build it even better." And it was at the 2-month mark that he was in his orthopedic surgeon's office, and his orthopedic surgeon said, "Give it 2 more weeks, and you could actually be in the gym squatting." Yeah.
Okay. So I added 2 months on. Yeah, it was 2 months. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. It was mind blowing.
It was a very, very quick recovery because we put his body, his cells in the position where they could recover quickly. And we did a lot of work. We really went to town with his mindset. He went to town with his nutrition, his lab work, all those sort of things to make sure that internal environment supported the kind of stimulation on his work so his body could handle it. And we we've got him back in the game. It's fantastic. His trajectory has been extraordinary. So I think within another 2 weeks we will have him back to full running training. And I don't think anyone would notice that there's been a bilateral rupture of both patellar tendons.
No,
So,
he had 36 staples in each knee. And and to see it now, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. And so that's the miracle. Yeah, and if he would listen, he would probably still be just beginning to do physiotherapy to try to learn how to transition and try to learn how to walk.
Well, the common thinking was to not move and to brace it to protect it from further injury. But in so doing that, you are creating muscle wasting, because after 2 or 3 days of not moving your muscle, you start to lose muscle mass. So after 3 months, he would. That's a significant amount of muscle loss you've got right there. You also movement is lubricant. It helps with the nutrition into the areas. So you need to move when you've injured yourself. I've worked a lot with people who've broken bones, and as long as the fracture isn't fully displaced, I'm a big fan of. And again, I'm not endorsing people try this for themselves, but I've helped bones heal by going down different routes, by stimulating that body's own supply to the area, and not by immobilizing the area. But you have to understand the rules of how you do that. So don't try this at home unless you have someone that understands the process.
Yeah, that sounds pretty intense.
And you have worked with royalty. You have worked with the elite athletes. You've worked with people all over the world. You've got a global practice. So you know your stuff. So, again, it's such an honor to work with you and see the results. But whatever people are going through, whatever pain they're in, they should know that they don't have to have that. And there's such more available to them in terms of healing and in terms of living life and human performance than people even know is possible.
Well, David, did you ever deal with any gout patients?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah, that's a lot of pain.
It's a lot of pain, but there's ways of helping that self-regulate much quicker than just dosing with allopurinol. So there's a lot of different ways you can get the body to respond to gout. So yeah, it's a complicated conversation, but I think whatever it is that people are struggling with, or that has just sort of moved in, like chronic pain, like gout, whatever it is, always stay curious, always have hope, always look for the answers. A lot of people find their way to me, and a part of their soul has been broken because they've been disappointed so many times.
I haven't got an answer. Okay.
Exactly.
So
and then,
I just want, after you finish that thought, I'd like you to give out your contact information before we run out of time, and repeat everything twice how people can contact you. But go ahead and finish your thought. I just want to put that in there real quick to you.
Yeah, no, it was basically just the human body, this innate design that we have is incredible. So keep looking for answers. Be curious. It's the curiosity, that childlike curiosity and the relentlessness, and you will find a solution to improving your health and being more present in the life that you have. For the time that we're here. That's kind of it. That's my whole big speech. Yeah. So if anyone wants to get in touch, the website is DThunder. That's thunder like the weather, .com. And on there's an email. So please reach out and contact us if you have any questions or queries, or want to explore working together. We have a ton of different ways. You can also find me on Facebook. David Thunder. I'm very visible. So yeah, feel free, just reach out, and always happy to help. You will get a completely unfiltered response. I've always had the position of having too many clients. So I don't work with people for any particular agenda. I'm not motivated in that way. I'm just motivated if I can serve someone, if I feel like I can help. So
that's awesome.
That's it, really.
All right. Dr. Rabb, closing thoughts.
Very, very interesting, and I've enjoyed this immensely. If I had any kind of an issue that I needed help with, I'd seek you out. I really would, because it was funny. I mean, it was a fun thing listening to you, but you sound like, I believe you have a lot of knowledge in what you're doing. It comes out like that. That's the way it came across to me anyway. Yeah, that you know what you're doing, and you're obviously doing a great job.
Yeah, speaking to the muscles, I felt that for sure. Okay, Dr. Brookh, closing thoughts.
Well, one of my favorite memories is with a mentor of mine. I always have mentors, you know, between the ages of 90 and 100. And one of them was a bum looker. We used to
What?
That sounds wrong on so many levels.
This will make sense when I explain. I love, sir, how you use the whole body. And that's what she was trying to help me in her wisdom, of not just looking at what the person comes in complaining about, but instead looking at how the body is moving. And so the reason she was a bum looker is because you can see one side of the bottom is like more taut or sticks out more, or, you know, she was trying to help me see how people were moving and then why are they moving like that? And so she was helping me to put the whole puzzle together. And that's what you've been doing. And so I thank you for that, because I think even that, you know, as people who are healers, we learn each piece individually, but we forget that this is a whole body. So you can learn all you want about the shoulder, but it might not be about the shoulder. It could be about the opposite hip or the foot, or in that gentleman's case with the knees, his knees could be affecting all kinds of stuff. So I just loved everything you said today. So thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Val, your closing thoughts.
I think now instead of the Wizard, we have a new nickname. It's David Thunder, not just a bum looker. There we go.
It's not quite as catchy, but
beyond bum looking. There we go.
I was thinking more like D-Matrix. He so much stuff, and I'm telling you,
exactly.
I was feeling Neo was around. You know.
Absolutely. David, it's such an honor to know you and work with you. I've seen you do miraculous things, and it's so hard to explain to people the results that you get, because it sounds like it's extraordinary. It sounds like it's impossible, but I would really recommend that anybody who is in pain, or anybody who wants to live their best life and maximize their performance, seek you out.
All right. So I want to thank you for being our guest today, David. I tell you, we'll have the show up by Friday, and his information is also posted on our Facebook page, Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. So give us a whirl there. We'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks again, D.
Peace and love. Peace
Take
and
care.
love.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We are a globally hosted show dedicated to sharing holistic lifestyle events, practitioners, products and services, and useful information. Visit our website, createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Of course, our Facebook page is Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We'll see you next week.
Namaste.